How are you guys doing? This is Dominic. Well, it's a wonderful time to be alive because all of the prophecies, everything that the Most High said will happen, is happening before our very eyes. The dry bones are waking up, and the message about who the real children of Israel are is being spread throughout the four corners of the world. One of the ways that the Most High said that he would gather the children of Israel would be through the use of ships. What kind of ships? Well, you can imagine if millions of Israelites are going to be gathered into one place, you're going to need mass transportation. Now, trains cannot go over water. Planes are limited to a capacity of a few hundred people. But boats can carry five, six, 7,000 people at a time. There is no better way to bring most of the people together than through the use of very large ships. What kind of ships? Cruise ships. And we see that this is beginning to manifest right before our eyes.
Here's the latest cruise ship passenger news, this time coming from the heart of New York City. The homeless situation here is out of control, as is the influx of new immigrants. The mayor of New York, Eric Adams, met with the CEO of Norwegian Cruise Lines, Frank Del Rio, to try to come up with a project that might put these individuals and their families on cruise ships.
Isaiah 60, verse 9. Surely the isles shall wait for me, and the ships of Tarshish first, to bring thy sons from far, their silver and their gold with them, unto the name of the Most High thy mighty one, and to the Holy One of Israel, because he hath glorified thee. Here, the Most High is telling us that he's going to use ships to bring home the children of Israel. Where we see the ships of Tarshish, Tarshish refers to the sea. It means the ships of the sea shall bring thy sons from far.
And in an exclusive interview, Mayor Adams telling CBS 2 that cruise ships could be a potential solution to the housing crisis.
The mayor revealed that plan during an interview on CBS 2's new political talk show, The Point, with Marsha Kramer. And Marsha joins us now with the exclusive. Cruise ships, huh?
Cruise ships, Jessica and Maurice. But
New York City was not the first to think about cruise ships. In this article, dated in December of 2019, we read California official floats a new idea: house homeless on a cruise ship. If cruise ships could be used as emergency housing in natural disasters, maybe they could be used to help in Oakland's emergency homelessness. Oakland, California was thinking about using cruise ships as early as 2019 for temporary housing.
Royal Caribbean's Wonder of the Seas cruise ship, the largest in the world, is about to officially call Port Canaveral its year-round home.
West News Brevard Bureau Chief Scott Heiler gives us a look inside the ship and what it means to Central Florida's economy.
Wonder of the Seas, Royal Caribbean's flagship, can accommodate nearly 7,000 passengers with 18 decks standing 16 stories high. The cruise line banking on the appeal of the sheer number of options for food, for drink, for entertainment, essentially a more is more approach.
These cruise ships are massive. They can hold a tremendous amount of people. They are like floating hotels, hotels that permanently reside underwater. Well, the Most High needs to devise ways and means to get the children of Israel back home. He needs to make highways. Let's go to Isaiah 11, verse 16. And there shall be an highway for the remnant of his people, which shall be left from Assyria, like as it was to Israel in the day that he came up out of the land of Egypt. The Most High will make a highway as it was in the day that he came up out of the land of Egypt. How did we come up out of the land of Egypt? Let's go to Exodus 14, verse 15. And the Most High said unto Moses, Wherefore criest thou unto me? Speak unto the children of Israel, that they go forward. But lift thou up thy rod, and stretch out thine hand over the sea, and divide it. And the children of Israel shall go on dry land through the midst of the sea. The children of Israel shall go on dry ground through the midst of the sea. The children of Israel went through the sea. The first time around, we went on dry ground. This time around, we're going to go through the midst of the sea again, but this time in ships.
And on that ship, there are more than 40 places to eat and drink, family dedicated areas, an area just for teens, and adult dedicated zones. There's also an open air section in the ship's interior called Central Park with high-end restaurants. Feels like you are miles on shore.
Cities in Europe have already begun to use cruise ships. Let's go to this article. What happens when you house more than 1,000 refugees on a cruise ship? We read, the idea of a wealthy city putting displaced people on boats feels off-putting, like a tacit admission that it's unwilling to make room for them on land. But the officials who managed the Rotterdam Charter and even refugee rights advocates who witnessed it told me that the cruise ship was a surprisingly effective short-term solution, with a few caveats. Further down we read, so when the port city of Rotterdam received notice in late March that thousands of Ukrainian refugees were arriving imminently, officials had to find a lot of new beds, and quickly. Aides to Rotterdam Mayor Ahmed Abutaleb, a Muslim immigrant and social democrat, saw an opportunity in the Volendam. Holland America's 781-foot-long 9-deck cruise ship that was conveniently empty and ported in Rotterdam with room for 1,500 passengers, not including crew. The Seattle-based cruise company quickly agreed to a 6-month charter, and just days later, the buses arrived, mostly women and children with suitcases in tow. Elmer Jones, Abutaleb's chief of staff, was put in charge of the frantic operation. In 1 minute, I went from the manager of the mayor's office to the manager of the Volendam, she said. Cities, again, are beginning to use cruise ships for temporary housing all over the world. Let's go back to New York and let's look at this article. New York City Mayor Eric Adams is finalizing a deal to use a Norwegian cruise ship as a migrant processing and housing center. City says luxury liner is cheaper alternative to tent shelters. A surge of migrants living in New York City could find themselves living in a massive Norwegian cruise ship, as Mayor Eric Adams is tipped to finalize a deal with the cruise line. About 15,500 migrants have made their way to New York, according to City Hall estimates, with Adams predicting a swell of 75,000, which would strain the shelter system to a breaking point. It is believed that migrants living on board the ship would be allowed to move freely. Isaiah 49:22. Thus saith the mighty Father, Behold, I will lift up mine hand to the Gentiles, and set up my standard to the people, and they shall bring thy sons in their arms, and thy daughters shall be carried upon their shoulders. The Gentiles built these ships to make a lot of money, but the Most High will make them use these same ships to bring the children of Israel home without cost.
Cruise ships, huh?
Cruise ships, Jessica and Maurice, but It's certainly not going to be called the Love Boat or the Good Ship Lollipop, for that matter. But Mayor Adams says the city intends to honor its commitment to provide shelter to all who need it, and a boat might just fit the bill. And it's a story you'll see only on CBS 2.
We're examining everything from, the legality of using any type of cruise ship for temporary housing. We're looking at everything to see how do we deal with this.
I want to pursue this thing about the cruise ships. Is that really a possibility that you might be able to do that?
We're looking at that. That was something that the previous administrations, Bloomberg administration, of my understanding, they looked at that during a surge. And so we're looking at that as a temporary measure, not as a permanent measure. A permanent measures get people into housing.
The Norwegian cruise ship is not the only ship that New York is bringing to its ports. In this article, the title of which is New Cruise Ship Deal Will Bring 100,200,000 Tourists to New York City, we read, a European cruise line's expansion plans will bring an annual $102 million in new revenues to New York City, as well as more than 200,000 additional tourists per year, Mayor Adams predicted Wednesday. Under the new deal, MSC Cruises will operate out of the Brooklyn Cruise Terminal year-round beginning next year, with voyages to Florida, the Bahamas, Bermuda, Canada, and New England. And this is only the beginning. Cities all over Europe and the United States that do not normally cater to these very large cruise ships will begin to implement plans to have these ships docked at their ports. Isaiah 43 verse 6, I will say to the north, give up, and to the south, keep not back. Bring my sons from far, and my daughters from the ends of the earth. We read, I will say to the south, keep not back. I will say to the north, give my children up. That's because everybody will be going from the northern parts of the world into the southern parts of the world. We will be moving away from the United States, Canada, and Europe, away from the so-called Western world, away from the land of our captivity, into the lands that the Most High has set aside for us. This is all part of the Most High's plans. Eventually, these same ships will be used to carry the children of Israel to a land of their own, to establish the kingdom of Israel. Jeremiah 50, verses 4 and 5. In those days and in that time, saith the Father, the children of Israel shall come, they and the children of Judah together, going and weeping. They shall go and seek the Father, their mighty one. They shall ask the way to Zion, with their faces thitherward, saying, come and let us join ourselves to the Father in a perpetual covenant that shall not be forgotten. In verse 5 we read, they shall ask the way to Zion. They shall ask the way to Zion because they don't know where Zion is. We know where the ancient land of Israel is in the so-called Middle East today. The prophet is not talking about that land, or else it would not be a mystery today. We read, they shall ask the way to Zion. This is an ongoing search. Some people think it is in Africa. Other people think it is in the Americas. But clearly, we will ask the way to Zion. Clearly, there will be a search. And when Zion is found, then we will set our sights on going to Zion. These ships will be there to serve us.